Perfect. So let's start the session with the explanation of the session. Why this session? Why this session right now? As I was talking, everybody's anxious right now. Everybody's stressed out right now. So we're going to talk about anxiety. We're going to talk about stress. And the reason why we're talking about both of them together, because both of them are interrelated. Now, let's start with stress and anxiety management. The first thing that I would like to share with you is these three phrases. These three phrases come from Latin and from Stoic philosophy as well. On the group, I also shared a few videos if you got the time to actually go through the videos. If not, you can go through them later. These three phrases are very important for us to keep in mind. In fact, it'll be great if you can just create a band, on your wrist, those rubber bands which can have these three phrases so that you remember them. Keep them in front of you so that you constantly keep going back to them. These phrases are memento homo, amor fati, and memento mori. Memento homo says, remember that you're just dust and you're going to go back to dust. That's it. You are no more than dust. What happens with a lot of human beings is, with all of us, is that we have this thing called ego. What is ego? Ego is me, my idea, my way of thinking, my way of doing something. How can somebody say this to me? Now, this part of me is a false impression in your mind. A false impression in your mind is this me. Why would I do this? Why would I say this? Or why? How can somebody say this to me? How can somebody say that to me? How can so this idea of me, the self, or the ego, is a false perception of ourselves, and we what we are doing is we are actually getting into a lot of stress and anxiety. Another philosopher, I'm going to share his video as well, talk calls it status anxiety. A lot of people today in this world suffer from something called status anxiety. Status anxiety is that we've got some status in this life, achieved it somehow, and now we want to stick to that status, and now we want others to recognize our status. This is where momento homo comes in, saying that you have no status, you're just dust. That's it. And you're going to go back to dust. So don't make a big hue and cry about your status in the society. You are nobody. And when I keep reminding myself I'm nobody, I don't get hurt when people say things to me. I don't get hurt when people, uh, they don't see me at a particular status. I don't have to defend my status. I don't have to prove my status or myself to anybody. A lot of people have in the past have been in my place and been in above me, below me. They've been kings, they've been queens, they've been leaders, and they're gone now. They've become dust again. So the point is momento homo. You have to keep reminding yourself you're dust and nothing more than dust. So everything else that you own, everything else that the society has given you means nothing basically. So don't have status anxiety. Don't think about what others are thinking about you too much, because a lot of us are in constant struggle to just uphold status in the society. The second phrase that I would like to share with you is amor fati. Amor fati means love of fate. Love of fate, whatever situation you're in, you have to love your fate. How it's done is very simple. You need to start appreciating everything that is there. So a lot of people are panicking right now where I'm living. They're saying that we are locked down. What they're not looking at is what is it that they have gained, what is they still have, what is it that they should be grateful to God about. We still have food, we still have electricity, we still have homes to live in. It's a temporary situation that we're locked in. Let's look at how we can make the most of this time right now. So it doesn't matter what fate brings to you. You have to appreciate fate. You have to believe that life always works for you and not against you. Life is always working for you, which means life, whatever life throws at you, it is for your own benefit. It is for you to be. happy in. Don't complain, don't crib about what you don't have. Start appreciating and start being grateful about what you have in life. This is a change of perspective from cribbing and complaining about things you don't have in life to appreciating the things that you have in life and God has blessed you with. If God has blessed you with a family, be grateful for that. If God has blessed you with a home, be grateful for it. For every meal that you take, be grateful for that meal. For every breath that you take, be grateful for that breath. It's about being grateful to God about whatever we have and whatever God has blessed us with. That's Amor Fati. The third phrase that I want to share with you is memento mori. Memento mori is very important for stress and anxiety again because the thought that you'll be dead soon, the thought that you'll be dead soon is a very powerful thought. And with that thought, you can actually focus on things which really matter in life and not waste your life. I believe each one of us need to appreciate this opportunity of being alive. Since we are alive in this world and we'll be gone soon, what I keep asking myself is number one, I keep reminding myself that I'll be dead soon. What am I contributing to this world? What am I doing for others in this world? How will I be remembered once I'm gone? Will I be remembered just, or not even remembered, said, there was this guy who's lived and he died. That's it. Or will I be remembered saying that this guy was born, he did something for society, and he left a mark on the society? There are a lot of people who left a mark on the society. The question is, are we doing something about it? Are we living a life which is worth remembering? Or are we living a life which is very selfish and which is about gaining material wealth or material gains or designation? Or as I mentioned earlier, small things which don't matter in the end, because once you're dead and gone, all this property, cars, whatever you gain, the wealth in the bank will be gone. You will not be able to take it along. If you'll not be able to take it along, then why are we accumulating and accumulating and not sharing? The idea is to share more, help as many people as possible so that they stay alive you stay alive in their memory, you stay alive in their thoughts forever. This is a way of eternal life. When we add value to people's lives, they remember us for a very long time to come. Okay, so three phrases: memento homo, you're nothing more than dust, so there is no ego. Forget your ego. You're nobody. I am nobody. So it doesn't matter what others say to me, it doesn't matter what others think about me. As long as I'm doing the right thing, I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to be anxious about it. Amor fati, whatever life throws at me, I have to appreciate it. I have to accept it. Accepting a situation like this is a sign of amor fati. If you're not, if you're just being uncomfortable, anxious, or stressed out, then you're not accepting your fate. In fact, you're not appreciating your fate. So appreciate your fate. Memento mori is remember that you'll be dead soon. So make sure that this time that you're spending is spent really, really well. Next, I would like to share with you the definition of stress and anxiety. A simple definition: stress is a feeling of emotional and physical tension. Anxiety, on the other hand, is your body's natural response to stress. It's a feeling of fear and apprehension about what's to come. So you see, both anxiety and stress are interconnected. Anxiety is anxiety is triggered by stress. So people first get into stress, and then stress creates anxiety. A stressful situation, like right now. Now it creates anxiety. Anxiety is a suffering of the future which you're suffering right now. It's a disaster that may happen in the future, but you're already suffering from that disaster in the present moment. It's what happens in all of us when we start living in the future. So, my dear friends, anxiety comes from future, and regret comes from the past. So, There's a lot of regret, remorse, guilt that we have, which is from coming from the past. Anxiety comes from the future. So if you want to live an anxiety free life, a stress free life, we have to somehow create two borders, two big walls between the past and the future. And you have to stay in the present. The present is the most beautiful state. Future is filled with fear and anxiety. Past is filled with guilt and remorse and regret. So if you stay away from past and future and if you stay in the present, you can be happy, you can be stress free, you can be anxiety free. So let me go ahead and tell you certain tips on how you can actually do that. So I'm going to share with you 10 tips on how to live an anxiety and stress free life. I will also share with you some techniques in this 1 hour to live a better life, to live a happier life and stress and anxiety free life. Number one tip is mind your thoughts. Your thoughts affect your feelings, and your feelings affect your behavior, and your behavior affect your body, and it's a cycle. As uh, the psychologist Albert Ellis says, your beliefs, your internal beliefs and thoughts are creating feelings in you. Anxiety, fear, they're both feelings. And feeling is nothing but a reaction of your body, of your uh, limbic system, which is the emotional part of your brain, to a thought or a situation. A situation may trigger a feeling, or a thought may trigger a feeling. Now, when you're sitting calmly and nicely and there's nobody hurting you, there are thoughts running in your head which may trigger certain negative feelings in your mind. Okay, one is you see a tiger running towards you, you see some threat coming towards you, that creates feeling and fear and anxiety in your mind. That's a rational feeling and a rational thought. But when you're sitting comfortably in your home and this dangerous thought which comes in front of you like a tiger, but it's not a tiger, and that thought triggers a feeling, and the feeling triggers certain organs and certain glands in your brain which release chemicals like cortisol and adrenaline, which affect your heart, your blood pressure, your heartbeat, everything. Your entire physiology gets affected by this one thought, and that's what anxiety really is. So be careful. The first tip, the first suggestion I want to make here is be careful what you feed your mind. We are very careful about what we eat. We look at the expiry date of the food that we eat. We don't eat a lot of junk food. We don't eat a lot of bad food. But are you careful about what you're feeding your mind? Because if you're feeding your mind negative food or garbage, then it's going to affect your physiology because your mind will affect your body. These days, we're getting so many negative inputs. It's like rotten food of mind that we are getting through WhatsApp groups, through social media, through news channels. So one thing I did was I stopped watching news. 6 years ago, I stopped watching news. News was banned at my home. So I've got two kids, my wife. We don't watch news. Thanks to WhatsApp, our friends in certain groups will keep telling us that okay, you're now logged in, and I say okay, what are my options? My anxiety level at my home and stress level at my home has come down drastically in the last 6 years only because of one step, which is avoiding the 24 by 7 news channels, avoiding social media and Facebook. If you just be very careful about what you feed your mind, it can completely change your life. I promise you that. Okay, then you can also focus on things which are important to you. So garbage in will result in garbage out. That's the first tip. Be careful about what you feed your mind. If you're feeding positive thoughts, positive behavior, healthy body is the result. If you're feeding negative thoughts, negative feelings, and sick body, unwell body will be the outcome. Focus on what is in your control. Now, every now and then, you have to keep asking yourself, whatever I'm worrying about, is it in my control or is it not in my control? So, if whatever I'm worrying about is in my control, then great. Let me do something about it and change it. But if it is not in my control, then I should stop worrying about it. And I should shift my focus back into what I can control. This is what we teach in mindfulness and in Stoic philosophy as well, where we say, keep asking yourself, what is in your control? One Stoic philosopher once said, there is nothing called bad weather, it's just bad clothing. What that means, my dear friends, is that our life will have a lot of things going on around us. If you're trying to control something which is not in your hand, you will always be anxious and stressed out. But accepting that there are certain things which are not in your control and shifting your focus from to only things that are in your control will completely reduce your anxiety levels and your stress levels. So please keep asking yourself, whatever we're discussing, whatever we are spending our energy on, is it in my control or is it not in my control? If it's not in my control, let's not waste my time there. Let's focus on things which are in my control. Let's be productive in this moment. The third point with you is be selfish first. Now, what do I mean by be selfish first? By being selfish first, what I mean is that if you stop taking care of yourself, you cannot take care of others. Start taking care of yourself first. Be healthy. Work out every day. Create a routine for yourself. Love yourself. Be happy yourself. If you are not happy, people around you will never be happy. So you can't make everybody happy by being unhappy because we are all interconnected. We are all linked to each other. We are all linked to each other emotionally. So it's like somebody is not feeling good, even at work or at home, and we are with this person. This person's emotional state is going to affect our emotional state. Okay, that's what happens when we shout at somebody, and this person gets disturbed, and this person again shouts back at us. So it's like fire. We throw this fire onto each other when we get angry, which is a classic example of our emotions affecting another person's emotions. If somebody at home is not well, everybody gets affected. Yes or no? So because of this, my suggestion is start taking care of yourself first. Number one, work out every day. If you have a treadmill at home, do treadmill. If you don't have a treadmill, jump, do skipping, push-ups, crunches, whatever you can do. But do work out every day because when you're at home, we keep sitting from one place to the other and then we keep moving, hardly moving, and we keep sitting because there's nothing else to do. But we have to create a routine for the entire day if you're at your home. Make sure you actually go as per the routine because routine helps you stay healthy. And once you're in a routine, you also have the right thoughts in your mind because you have to do something. You have planned your day, so you feel a sense of accomplishment as well, which is very important for anxiety. Okay, so be selfish first. Take care of yourself. Fourth is identify and dispute irrational beliefs. We have taken a lot of beliefs from people who were our parents, our elders, our teachers, environment. Certain situations in our lives have also instilled certain beliefs in us. We have to start questioning those beliefs. We have to go against our beliefs. Some of them are irrational. Like, you might have heard of superstitions. So these superstitions also give us a lot of anxiety. For example, you started doing something in India. We say that uh, don't if somebody sneezes the moment you're going out for an auspicious thing, it's wrong. It's so this is one of the examples of irrational beliefs. Don't cut your nails in the night. Don't sweep your floors in the night. And they might be true at some point in time in when there was no electricity, but now we have electricity. You can cut your nails with the nice clippers in the night. There's nothing wrong with it. These small things, when they accumulate, they give us a lot of stress and anxiety. When people don't follow what we believe in, or we don't follow what we believe in, can be a source of anxiety and stress for all of us. So we need to start disputing irrational beliefs. I would like you to go back and watch that video I sent about Albert Ellis. He is the guy who taught us how to dispute irrational beliefs through rational emotive behavior therapy. Next is fifth point, which is have to, must, or should. The world doesn't have to be comply to you, and the world should not comply to you. The world should and must. We some of us believe that everybody should take care of us. We believe that we have this belief that everybody should take care of me, and when they don't, we feel hurt. We believe that these are all irrational beliefs again. Which are everybody should take care of me, everybody should be honest with me, everybody should be must be a nice person. So when you have these irrational beliefs, they will give you a lot of anxiety and they will give you a lot of pain, because the world doesn't work like that, my dear friends. The world is a very cruel place. The world is a very harsh place. If you don't know that, I want you to go and watch some of the National Geographic videos. It'll show you how wild, how cruel this world is. Okay, so if we start expecting that everybody is a saint around us, if we start expecting that everybody is going to take care of us, if we start expecting that everybody will be honest with us, nobody will hurt us, nobody will lie to us, that's a completely irrational belief, and we will always live in anxiety. So I keep telling myself that I deal with human beings, and human beings are weak, are emotionally weak, because they either uh, they run away from fear and they run towards pleasure. The sign that human beings run away towards pleasure and run away from fear is tells me that human beings can do anything. And if you look at the history of human existence, you will realize human beings have done really weird stuff all along. So we need this is probably this is the reason we should study history, because it tells us basic patterns that human beings are used to. So you can talk about Hitler, you can talk about a lot of kings, what have they done, how they have dealt with human beings. And then you need to accept this. You need to accept that this is how the world is. Okay? Now, having said that, you don't need to catastrophize. So there's this I understand that everybody was not nice, but everybody internally is a nice person. Okay, they might. So I would expect people to lie to me, I would expect people to cheat me, I would expect people to criticize me, I would expect people to say, you know, whatever they feel like about me, but I will not let that affect me, because I know they're saying this because they're weak. So instead of taking revenge from people, taking revenge is also a sign of weakness of character, my dear friends. So if you're thinking of taking revenge from somebody, it shows that you are just like them. Your job is to keep yourself safe. Do due diligence in your relationships and expect people to go wrong. Expect them to hurt you. If they don't, awesome, great. If they do, well, you expected it. So there's no surprise or shock. Okay? So, having said that, do not catastrophize. Being prepared for the worst is a good thing. Being obsessed with the worst is catastrophizing. I'll repeat that. Being prepared for the worst and accepting the worst is rational, but obsessing and being obsessed with the worst is catastrophizing. When we are only panicking, when you're only thinking about the negative stuff in life. So please make sure you don't obsess about the worst situation in life. That's called catastrophizing. The next step is step number 7. Don't try to be a superhuman. Okay, unfortunately, we have grown up looking at Superman who's going to fly in, save the world, because he's one mighty person, and each one of us wanted to be Superman when we were kids. Now we've got an Avengers, and Avengers are going to save us. But the problem is that that's a wrong perception. I think human beings are weak, human beings have limited control. So we need to be careful of not trying to be a superhuman. Because if you're trying to be a superhuman, you're trying to save the world, you'll not be able to save anybody, not even yourself. Okay? Accepting the limitations of the human body and the human mind is also part of stress and anxiety management. I want to save everybody who's suffering right now, but I know I can't. The only way I can save people in my country, in my city, is by locking myself up, not by going outside. I can't go outside and save the world. I can sit at home and save the world, which means what is in my control and what is not in my control. I'm not a superhuman. I'm just a human. Okay? So don't be a superhuman, or don't you try to be. You can't make everybody happy. Choose carefully very few who really matter to you. Now, that this is also a very, very important point. I've seen people who were anxious, stressed out, worn out. These people wanted to actually make everybody happy. You can't make everybody happy. That's a wrong notion. You can't make, and even if you try to make everybody happy, in the end, you nobody will be happy with you because you are a human. You have limited time. You have limited energy. So you can only focus that limited energy to a certain few. If you try to give that limited energy and time to everybody, nobody will be happy. So you need to prioritize who are the people in your life, who are those people in your life who really matter, who are those people in your life who actually make who really matter to you, whom you would really want to make him happy. And then accept your humanity and say that, you know what, I would like to help everybody but can't. That's me. So don't try to make everybody happy. Ninth point is have reasonable expectations from self and others. Reasonable expectations are a part of what we discussed just now, which means it's reasonable to err, it's reasonable to say something which was wrong, it's reasonable to fail sometimes, it's reasonable to be embarrassed, do embarrassing things. It's reasonable because we are all humans. To err is human. It's very reasonable to make mistakes. It's reasonable to get angry sometimes. It's reasonable to shout at somebody sometimes. And believe me, whatever is reasonable for you is reasonable for other people as well. So don't get hurt when somebody shouts at you. Don't get hurt when somebody, attacks you or cries in front of you, or if you cry in front of somebody because you were just so anxious. There's nothing called embarrassment. Embarrassment is our perception of ourselves, and there's too much expectation for ourselves. From myself. You're saying that I have to live up to this reputation of my own self, and when I do something which is below the reputation that I have had for myself, it's a completely embarrassing thing. What will others think of me? Well, let me remind you, you're just a human being. You're not God. You're not supposed to be the best. You're not supposed to be error free. We're all human beings. We will make our mistakes, we will correct our mistakes, and then we'll move on. That's what life is all about. So don't take too much stress and anxiety about the mistakes you've done because you and all the mistakes others have done. Don't try to take revenge and be mindful of the 5 stages of grief. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross gave us these 5 stages of grief. Elisabeth Kubler-Ross, she wrote a lot of books. She was a psychologist. She says whenever we get a bad news, we go through 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So, what is denial? Denial is just denying that something wrong can happen to me. Something wrong can happen to everybody in the world, which I see in the news. But when I hear something wrong happening to me or to somebody who's close to me, we get into denial, which means no, this can't happen. It's not fair. It's not right. whatever. And then we get angry. We get angry at ourselves, we get angry at others, we get angry at God. That's anger stage. And then we start bargaining things which are not in our control. So if you start bargaining things with things which are not in your control, saying that, oh God, please, somehow I will do this and you give me that. You give me the health of my loved one and I will give you this. This is bargaining with God and bargaining with fate, which never works. Okay, almost never works when you're bargaining with fate. Instead of accepting the fate, you start bargaining with God. And when you start bargaining with God, and if that decision, that the fate doesn't work in your favor, then I've seen people losing faith in God, saying that now, I prayed, I did this, I did that, but God did not give it back to me. It's a bad deal. So start making deals with fate. Fate is fate. It'll whatever has to happen will happen. All you can do is do things which are in your control, okay, and accept it. That's all. And being anxious about that bargaining, if that bargaining doesn't work, people get into depression, people lock themselves up, people say that I've lost faith from humanity, I've lost faith from life, I've lost faith in God. But what they're not looking at is acceptance that this is fate and you have no control over fate is what we need to learn to be less anxious and less stressed in our lives. So these are the 10 tips, my dear friends. I'm going to upload this video later on. Next is stress and anxiety management techniques. I'm going to go very quick on the techniques because I've actually told you a lot of tips. The first technique is deep breathing. I know it sounds very simple, but it has amazing effects on your body. Deep breathing, three-step process. Breathe in from your nose, pause for a second, breathe out from your mouth. So whenever you're feeling a lot of anxiety and stress, I want you to just sit straight and breathe in from your nose. Pause for a second, breathe out from your mouth. The key is to go as slow as possible, as slow as possible. You do it for 5 minutes, I assure you, your cortisol levels, your adrenaline levels are going to come down. Your body is going to be rejuvenating itself and will get relaxed. Suddenly, there'll be no anxiety, there'll be no stress. The second technique is practice body scanning. While you're doing deep breathing, I want you to close your eyes and start focusing on different parts of your body which you feel are stressed out. For example, if your head is spinning and you've got stress in your head, you breathe and you focus on your stress on your head and you do deep breathing and you say, give suggestions to yourself saying that with every breath that I take, my head is going to feel more relaxed. Every breath, my head is going to be more relaxed. Then come to shoulders, the back. It's self-hypnotism or self-suggestions. You're breathing in, you're breathing out, and you're giving suggestions to your body to relax. Your body is listening. This is a conversation between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind, my dear friends, has the ability to heal itself. Your body has the ability to heal itself. The the most common experiment in the medical science is known as the placebo effect. The placebo effect is a sign is a recorded effect in medicine, which tells us that our body has what it needs to heal itself if we believe in it. So it all comes down to belief. It all comes down to the thoughts. So when you have to do body scanning, you can actually lie down on the ground in like shavasana of yoga, or you can keep sitting. You need to just keep focusing on each part of your body, accept that the body is stressed, breathe deep, and keep suggesting to your body to calm itself down. And within no time, your body will be completely relaxed and pain free. Next is positive visualization. This is a brilliant technique if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling really anxious. Again, while you're doing this, once the step one is breathing, step two is body scanning. Once your body is relaxed, then I would like you to close your eyes and go to a place or a time in your life where you had a lot of fun, the time that you enjoyed. This could be a time from college, this could be a time from when you got your child. It was one of the most exciting times for me. Brings me happiness. Playing with my children has always brought me happiness. So you just need to close your eyes and fly away to a place or time which was when you were really happy. Or spend time with people you miss. Okay? You can spend time with people who are not even alive anymore. And you can do this by just closing your eyes and going there and spending some time with them. You can have conversations because these people whom we have lost are still alive in us through our memories. And we can actually have conversations with them. I'm not talking about schizophrenia. I'm talking about focused conversations with people in our memory. And has come up to be out to be extremely therapeutic and extremely relaxing thing. I do it a lot of times with my in my classes. I tell people to just after the second step of body scanning, the third step is to close their eyes, go back to a time which was a happy time for you in your life. And when you go back to a time which was happy time for you, you can stay there for as long as you want. You can also fall asleep while you're doing it. But that moment is going to rejuvenate you because human mind cannot differentiate between reality and fiction, reality and dreaming. That's the reason people speak when they're sleeping. That's the reason when people are sleeping and watching a dream, their body reacts to the dream just like it would react in reality. So your body gets confused. Your mind has the power to relive situations. Your mind has the power to make you feel happy or sad. It's the power of mind over body. So try it. Try positive visualization. Have me time. Do something that makes you happy every day. Whatever makes you happy. If it's watching a certain kind of movie, and please start saying no, which is 8 points. Start saying no to people who want to intrude into your me time. As I mentioned earlier, be selfish. Make yourself happy first. Okay. So please have a me time for yourself. It could be half an hour, it could be 1 hour, it could be 2 hours. I want you to be really, really happy. I want you to just squeeze out the me time. Even if you have a lot of work, as I mentioned earlier, create a schedule, create a routine for every day, which has me time. It could be listening to your favorite music, it could be playing a musical instrument, it could be dancing, it could be singing, it could be anything that makes you happy. Very important. Okay, pray. Praying has always shown to reduce anxiety and stress. Why? Because when you pray to somebody whom you believe has power to heal, what happens is your stress level comes down, your anxiety level comes down because you know there's somebody who's going to make things right. Okay? Your belief in God is a good way of reducing stress and anxiety. It has been found that people who don't believe in God, who don't believe in the Almighty, they end up with more anxiety and more stress. So please pray to God as much as possible in difficult times so that your stress and anxiety levels come down. Next is meditate by chanting or by focusing on mundane tasks. Very, very important tip. Okay. Now, some people pray to God, which is equal to meditation. Praying to God and being in that moment is meditation. Some people who are not very religious, for them, they can actually meditate. Meditation is focusing your energy either on breathing or focusing on mundane tasks. Mundane tasks is like eating. When you're eating food, I was told by one of my elders that chewing 32 times is what you're supposed to do. But just imagine chewing 32 times before you swallow is nothing but eating meditation, which means looking at your food, smelling the food, the aromas, and then the taste, the texture of the food, the salt and the sugar, whatever comes into your mouth, being more aware of your food while you're eating is eating meditation. While you're walking, being more aware of the ground under your below your feet. When your feet touches the ground, when you move, be aware of movement. Okay, that's called walking meditation. These are all mundane tasks, but focusing, creating more awareness towards mundane tasks is what is called meditation and mindfulness. When you're taking a shower, if you're taking a shower with hot water, you turn that hot water into cold water. And if you, the moment you feel the temperature variation from hot to cold, you become more aware of what's happening around you. When you're listening to music, my suggestion is try focusing on only one instrument in the music. It could be guitar, it could be drums, it could be piano, or it could be some other instrument, or it could be just voice. Focus all your attention on only one instrument, and then try to listen, and then try to shift focus from one instrument to the other instrument. That's called music meditation or listening meditation. When you're talking to somebody, look into their eyes. Look into their eyes and just try to feel, identify the emotion behind what they're saying. Are they excited? Are they sad? Are they frustrated? Are they angry? Are they upset? What is the emotion behind what they're saying? This is called listening meditation or conversational meditation. I have gained a lot in my life by actually focusing on things which I was not focusing on earlier. Nowadays, I see people eating food without even looking at food, and they have to gulp it down with a Pepsi or something cold and sweet, and they've just missed a beautiful moment of eating something nice. They go to a restaurant to eat something nice, they end up wasting that moment by gulping it quickly inside. It's so ironic, I would say. So, my dear friends, please make sure that you start focusing on mundane tasks more and be engaged with everything that you do. Be mindfully in that moment with everything that you do. As I mentioned earlier, please do physical workout. When you're doing physical workout, try to push your limits. Okay? Do physical workout every day. Plan as per Murphy's law, but don't get obsessed with it, as I mentioned earlier. Murphy's law says whatever can go wrong will go wrong. So once you're prepared, once you've planned, which was in your control, once you've planned for Murphy, then you let go. Okay, say that, okay, I did whatever I could, and that's all I could do. I get to accept my humanity, and I'm not going to get obsessed because people today are getting obsessed with the situation right now, okay, with the coronavirus. So there's no need to get obsessed. What you could do was get some enough food inside home. I recharged my electricity, paid my society dues. These are all things in my control, which means I'll get electricity, I'll get gas, I will get food. Food is enough for my family for 1 month. That's it, done. Now I'm happy. There's nothing to be worried about now. Let's see how it unfolds. Okay, that's it. I plan for Murphy and then I let it go. Okay, whatever can go wrong will go wrong. So start saying no, which is very, very important. Once you create a schedule, once you create a routine, stick to it. People who try to differ you from the routine, tell them no, I can't. Okay, learn to push back. If you don't learn to push back, you will always live in anxiety and stress. You'll always have more on your plate than you can actually eat. Okay, and then food will fall and people will blame you. Practice minimalism in all aspects of life. Social media, material possessions. The more material possessions, more stress. Just remember that. Entertainment, intoxication, pleasure, social. Just practice minimalism. Minimalism is the difference between what you need and what you desire and want. Keep asking yourself, what do I need and what do I desire? Because desires are unlimited, needs are limited. Although there are some emotional needs. I'm not saying make your life really, really harsh or difficult. Have the pleasures of life, but please practice minimalism. Okay, as my doctor once said, I was almost diagnosed with diabetes, and he said, you know what, you have two choices. Either eat a lot of sugar right now, and then Keep running away from sugar throughout your life, or just eat little sugar and keep eating sugar throughout your life? Which one would you prefer? Made sense to me. Made total sense to me. So I cut down my sugar and carb diet, and I said, okay, I want to enjoy sugar and carbs throughout my life. So I don't need to eat a lot of it right now. So I started practicing minimalism in my carb diet or in my food. So now I eat a little bit of everything, but I don't eat a lot of everything. Same thing goes for social media. Instead of spending the entire time on social media, you spend a little bit time on social media. If you like Facebook, do Facebook, but be mindful of how much time you're doing Facebook. Okay, be mindful of how much time you spend on your WhatsApp groups. Minimalism is the key to stress-free and anxiety-free life. Less, less things, less indulgence leads to more stress-free life, a better, peaceful life, happier life. Just remember that. Be compassionate, be kind and forgiving to yourself and others. I've discussed enough about that, which means be kind to yourself, forgive yourself for the mistakes that you've made because you're dust, you're nobody, and you're human. Okay? You were never made to be an angel. Okay? To err is human. So we have made mistakes in our lives. We have to forgive ourselves. We have to forgive others who have made mistakes in our life, in their lives, and stop thinking about how could they do this to us? How could they say that to us? Or I'm not going to leave that person. Every time you hear that statement, I'm not going to leave that person. I'm going to take revenge. I'm going to show this person who I am or what I can do. You're giving a lot of stress and anxiety to yourself. I believe the best thing to do is to just go to that person and say, you know what? I accept that you did this to me and I forgive you for what you did. Okay, I hope you will improve in the future. And that's it, and let it be. Okay, no matter how much you try to take revenge, it will not help you. It will not serve anybody. Okay, so this brings us to the end of today's session. Uh, any questions, guys? Any questions? Any doubts? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. Five stages of grief. Yes. Yes. Denial is not accepting your fate. Remember Amor Fati? When I said Amor Fati is not only accepting but loving your fate. Okay? Now, denial is how could God do this to me? How can this happen to me? Remember in Hindi movies we used to hear this dialogue, Nahi keh do ke ye jhoot hai, right? Which means we are not accepting what life is giving us. Okay, so the worst case scenario, the lady who did this research, Elisabeth Kubler-Ross, she actually researched on dying people, people who were about to die. And when they heard a news that they will be dead soon, they had two choices. One, crib and cry about it for the rest of the few months that they had to live. Second, make the most of the few months that they had to live, right? So that's what happens when you get into denial. You get into a negative state of mind, which means this can't happen to me. And that's the reason when you don't accept it, you start bargaining with it. And the sign of bargaining is trying to bribe God. क्योंकि इंसान के दिमाग में तो वही चलता है ना. इंसान thinks that I can somehow bribe God and get his favor. चाहे मैं कुछ भी करके गॉड को ब्राइब करके ना अपना फेट चेंज कर सकता हूँ. But that's not the truth. And there are a lot of businesses running because of that belief. The businesses of pandits and mullahs and whatever. They do this. They do this business. वो palmistry का एक business चल रहा है. सर कुछ बताओ ये लाइन तो ऐसा है वैसा हो जाएगा. So what is happening here? When you go to a palmist and you say, tell me an upay, tell me a way out of my own fate, That is a completely irrational belief, and you want to believe it because you want to bargain with things which are not in your control. This will give you more stress and more anxiety, and there's higher possibility that you may get into depression after your believing God doesn't work. Okay, acceptance is where we have to be. So mindfulness teaches acceptance. That's the reason when I started with the amor fati. I started with memento mori, which means remember you must die, and people around you will also die. Okay, this is truth of life. The known you can't deny this truth. You can't deny this truth. We are all made up of dust, and we'll have to go back to dust. So that's the reason we started with this slide, and we said that, you know what, if you don't believe this, then you will always be stressed out. You will always have anxiety in your life. Okay, so that's why denial, anger is also a sign of denial. For example, on a lighter note, I've seen people on airports. On airports when their flight is not landing or delayed, you've seen those people going and fighting with the customer service people, saying that where is my flight? And the customer service person says, yeah, how long will it take? I want my flight. I have a meeting. And this guy says, sorry, this flight is still in the air. And what happens then? This guy says, no, no, I want to talk to your manager. Because this bugger has a belief that if I talk to the manager, he'll somehow do some magic and get the flight down. And then the manager comes back and says, sir, I'm sorry, the flight is still in the air and it will take some time. And this guy still is not ready to accept it. This guy would again talk to 10 other people and say, this is not done. How can you do this to me? Now, this is a clear sign that this person, yeah, 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 they will again keep cribbing. And then you would see, I observe this all the time. Then you would see this person actually going in a corner and sulking. You know, finally he'll go into a corner and he'll start sulking. नहीं नहीं मैं नहीं खेल रहा मुझे मुझे नहीं करना ऐसा नहीं ये गलत फ्लाइट है. This is a fact. You have to quickly accept it that the flight is delayed. That's it. That's all you can do. Now you have two choices. Either feel very sad about it and angry about it and start bargaining with the manager who still can't do anything, right? Or get depressed and sulk. Or on the other hand, focus on amor fati. Focus and keep reminding yourself, if life throws lemons at me, I'm going to first take out lemonade and then make lemon pickle. Okay? I'm not going to leave any. Okay, and then I'm going to enjoy lemon pickle with it as well. So it doesn't matter what life throws at you. What you can do is make the most of life. That's what we're trying to say.